Welcome to the Date Forever podcast. Keep your relationship fueled up with strategies discovered by couples and experts. Because at Fuel Collective, we believe better relationships will equal a better world. You are about to discover specific insights and tools that cost little or nothing to implement to help you date forever. And now, here are your hosts, a couple who always have a half-packed suitcase and a date night in the calendar, Sammy and Nathan Yeager.
Hello and welcome to another week of Date Forever. In this week's episode, we're chatting about rediscovering yourself through your style, how to stand out from the crowd in your most authentic way, and how your style affects your confidence and courage. But before we get into that, Sammy, what's been fueling you up this week?
Well, it was Love Day this past week.
It was, wasn't it?
Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Some people love it. Some people hate it.
It's a bit of a polarising day for some people, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's a bit like any religious holiday or Memorial Day or Mother's Day or Father's Day, any kind of milestone day. There's people who love them, there's people who hate them, there's people who are indifferent. Yeah. So Love Day, I am a lover of Love Day. And unfortunately, I'm a migraine sufferer and I spent most of my day in the dark, feeling very sorry for myself.
Yeah, it was a bit disappointing, wasn't it?
So this sounds like an anti-fuel up. But what did fuel me up was that amongst my nausea and splitting brain, you managed to still make me feel really special and loved with a whole smattering of gifts.
That's amazing. I'm glad I could do that for you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you.
Oh, no worries.
So that fueled me up because you spoke my love language.
I did, yeah.
Lots of it. I got champagne and flowers and treats and lingerie, all the things.
Yeah,
all
amazing.
the things.
Amazing.
What about you? What fueled you up this past week?
Well, mine was, revolving around exactly the same event. So obviously Sammy does love Valentine's Day, but she's always had a bit of a tradition to give me 14 gifts for the 14 days leading up to Valentine's Day.
I always do something different.
Yeah, you do always do something different.
And don't get the big idea that I'm giving away beautiful, perfectly wrapped gifts every day for 14 days. No, that is not what is happening. You are getting small little tokens of my gift-giving love language each day.
Yeah, and it was amazing.
Yeah, so what did you get this year?
So this year I got guitar picks every day for 14 days, which was, really fun. And a little love note on each of the packets of guitar picks.
And what did they say?
Oh, beautiful things. I pick you because something.
I had to make you
dorky.
share my pun with everyone. Yes, because I do pick you.
You do pick me, and I love that. Thank you.
So now that we've probably overly squished everyone out with our lovey-dovey mushiness, let's get into this week's episode.
Today we've got Kell Quarrell joining us. Kell is a personal stylist with a difference. She understands that transforming women's confidence is both an inside and outside job. She's combined personal style with personal development to create a winning formula to teach women how to reclaim their confidence through style. Welcome to the show, Kell.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
Oh, it's super exciting to have you here.
I feel like everyone is being cheated that podcasting is not a visual medium because you look fabulous as a personal stylist. I'm not surprised, but you do. You look wonderful.
Thank you. That is so kind.
Hey, how did you get interested in this? How did you become a personal stylist?
So that's a great question. After the birth of my second daughter 10 years ago, I really lost my confidence in knowing how to dress my body shape. And one of my worst fears was feeling mumsy. And that was what I was really feeling. That became my reality. And so I actually invested in my own personal styling session with a personal stylist down in Melbourne. And that session truly sparked and ignited a passion. And my results were incredible. And I just thought, this is something that I would love to be able to do for women. And I was a beauty therapist at the time. And I just thought both of them went, really well hand in hand. So I went and studied at the Australian Style Institute in Melbourne. And I've been working one-on-one with clients for the last 10 years.
Yeah, amazing. So, Kel, you said that your results were amazing from going to see this stylist. So what did you see was the difference? Was it just purely your style, or was there something bigger than just your style?
No, I think when I undertook that whole session with my stylist, there is a sense of rediscovery and really looking at your life. What is it that you want out of your life? What are your highest priorities? All of these things. And that really then translates into, I guess, the clothes that you wear, and then the outcome being your confidence as a person, as a woman, as a business person, all of those things. I then really understood that I wasn't just a mum. I was a woman, and for me to be able to live the life that I wanted, I really needed to elevate all of the areas of my life. In particular, was that confidence in myself.
Hey, I've had the great pleasure of being invited on the Motherhood Unfucked podcast with Dr. Ali Young, and I'm not a mum, but I'm in the minority now, like of my girlfriends. I'm outnumbered by a long way. And I've seen this happen, or this kind of stage where my girlfriends' bodies have changed, and then they've changed again, and then they've changed again. And they're not just in their external, but like the way that they feel about themselves and the role that they play. And it's really been interesting to watch some of them go through like this evolution of like rediscovering who they are, but also who they want to be. Because they don't necessarily want to like go back to the version of themselves like before they had children. And it's not really about that. It's more about like, well, who am I now and where am I going? So I'd love to know, like, for you, when you went through that process and that rediscovery or exploration, what was it like getting to know yourself again?
Well, I think that's an interesting question, because I honestly believe that when I went through that process, I didn't know where I was even starting from. I was you're so lost in that you'd actually aren't even thinking too far ahead. At the time that I did my session, I had a toddler. I was still breastfeeding, had a little, what was she, 6-month-old baby. Yeah. You're trying to be all of these things. I had my own Alabache franchise at that time. So I was a business owner. I was a mum to 2 girls. I was a wife. I was a friend. And then I was really like a shell of a person thinking, well, what is next for me? What do I want my life to look like? And so to be able to, I guess, explore that with someone else, I think is really powerful, because we go, as I do now in my formula with women, I go through activities that can kind of bring that out, because we often lose the ability to dream and to imagine what life could actually be like if it was our ideal life, and to be able to take them through those exercises to say, well, what is it that you really want? And then how do you want to show up for that life? And that's what I get really passionate about. So for me, it was an incredible feeling. It excited me to say, okay, well, yes, at this moment in my life, I'm a breastfeeding mum and I've got a toddler and I'm a businesswoman. But if I could have anything moving forward, what would my life be like? And then how do I create that, and how do I show up as that person and create a wardrobe around what it is that I truly want? And that excited me, because I think in those moments where it's busy and it's lack of sleep, you're not thinking that far ahead.
Yeah. I think like we're talking about this in context of motherhood, but I think these kind of stages in life happen, whether or not it's transitioning from like teenage life to early adult life to poor uni student to first sort of toe in the water in your career or your grown-up job, and then, you know, becoming a bit more of an adult, and maybe you've got a little bit more money to spend, and like all those kind of different stages. Like I know that even one of the transitions that I made was between working in quite a like corporate kind of office to a jeans and t-shirt kind of working environment. And that was like a weird pivot, because then all of a sudden my like weekend clothes were my work clothes, and then was that the same person? Did I want to be the same person in all of those environments? And the sort of self-discovery that I've gone on, like, I know that sometimes Nath probably cops the brunt of this when we're like trying to get out the house, and I've got like 12 outfits. And I'm like, none of this is where I'm at. None of this is feeling like who I am right now or who I want to be or how I want to be representing myself. And it's not necessarily about like the clothes not fitting or not about not being the color or anything. It's just like, this doesn't feel right. So talk to us a little bit about that. If we found ourselves in that stage where we're like, oh, what is happening here? How do we get out of it?
And this is the thing, right? Because not just as women, but as human beings, we are forever evolving. We're always transforming in some way, shape, or form. And as you said, Sam, it could be that it's a new role, it's a new job. As you said, coming out of uni, stepping into the first role, whether or not it's that situation. But even for men, like my husband had a huge change in career. Used to be, I would say, in simple terms, in agriculture, in farming. He was actually in the genetics side of artificially inseminating dairy cows to now being in property development and a buyer's agent. So he's gone from all over coverall gumboots and now he's actually in work shirts and blazers because he's in the real estate sort of game, but as a buyer's agent. So even that is a huge transformation. And often what we do find is that through any transformation, we can then feel that what we have in our wardrobes is no longer meeting our needs. It's no longer representing who we are as a person. And I guess what I teach in Confidence Through Style Academy is about taking yourself through the formula, through the steps, through the transition to really determine what is my unique personal style. How do I want to show up in the world? What are the elements of that? We go right down into color and print and all of the things, but it's about an overall style. It's not about fashion. It's about who am I and how do I want to show up? How do I want to be remembered? How do I stand out, particularly for business women? How do I stand out from the crowd in the most authentic way that feels good for you? And I work predominantly with women, but I have styled men in the past. And whilst the styling principles change, as in the rules, the fundamentals are the same. And it's really about identifying, who is it that you want to show up as? Uniquely you.
So how does our style then, like if we have found a style that really kind of works for us, how does that then play into our confidence?
It's interesting, confidence, because for me, courage always comes before confidence. It's about having the courage to really own your own style and really show up as that. And when you do something repetitively, the confidence then comes through that courage. And so for me, it's about when you put something on, immediately, if your shoulders go back, your posture improves, you can look in the mirror and you think, I look like me, I feel like me, I feel great, then that is your style. And so all over, you encompass that confidence within yourself because you're showing up as the best, most unique, stylish version of yourself. I really don't think there's any other way to describe it except that when you know, and like I've just been working, we've just done a round of Confidence Through Style Academy and the ladies are saying like, I'll put something on now and I question it. And they know the minute they question it, it's not right. And it's not representing who they are. Maybe it's a fit, maybe it's a shape that's not working for their body, but ultimately it's not representing who they now know they want to show up in the world as.
So, Kell, how would you say that this level of like personal presentation, grooming and attention to how we show up, how the external, how do you think that influences our relationships?
Like completely right across the board with every relationship to start off with, because I think if anyone listening can really take themselves to a place where perhaps they know they really lacked self-confidence for whatever reason that might have been occurring in their life, then when we're feeling flat, when we're feeling low, when we're feeling overwhelmed, when our confidence is low, we know the roll-on effect is in all areas of life. And so ultimately, I know for me personally, when I was really flat and when I'd really lost my confidence in knowing how to sort of show up as me and how to dress my own body shape that had changed after having two girls, then my relationship with myself was not where I wanted it to be. And therefore, the relationship with my friends and my family and, of course, my husband and even my children to some point was also not functioning the way that it certainly could have and the way that it does when I'm feeling really confident about who I am. And so I think in all areas, when you as an individual are lacking confidence, then that does affect your ability to communicate. It affects your ability to be open, to welcome in relationship, welcome in that from others.
So, Kell, do you think that we always actually know whether our style is lacking ourselves, or like, do we sometimes need like a little external nudge for someone to be like, oh, I think you probably just need to either, I don't know, shape up a little bit, or like is something that's lagging behind which is affecting your confidence?
That is such a great question. I think sometimes we can get complacent, and I think we get complacent in life, and I'm sure both of you with the people that you're working with would know that we can get complacent in our relationships, right? We can let things just go. And I believe that that can happen with our own, the way that we do present ourselves. And I guess everyone's different. It's really about a matter of, I guess, taking the time to really think about, am I fully fulfilled? Am I feeling as good as I could? And is that being reflected in the way that I'm showing up in the world? And I know people that have style that is high end, always in heels, always in blazers. And then I know people that are always in a trainer and a ripped jean and a t-shirt. And because that is their style, they pull that off. It's uniquely them. It's very different. But for each of them, it elevates them because that's who they are uniquely. So I think absolutely, I would say if things are changing in your life, if you're looking to elevate in any area, whether it be career or relationships, finding a partner even, and that's not working, then maybe it is time to have a look about, okay, am I showing up as best that I possibly could right now? And am I showing up as who I really want to be? Because often we take advice from people that perhaps aren't the right people we should be taking advice from.
Hey, Kell, I want to go into this a little bit. So I've found for myself that I've had moments where I've really resisted spending money and time and energy on certain things. And sometimes it's been things like, the most recent one was like all of my activewear had got to a point where elastic was done, had like 7 out of the 8 pairs of leggings had holes in them.
Getting a little bit see-through.
Yeah, and the print was no longer covering what it should be covering. But I really didn't want to spend money on it. I really was like, I just sweat in it, like what, not a big deal. And then I went to the Lululemon factory outlet, not sponsored, but if they want to sponsor me, bring it on. And I just bought a couple things. Like I think I bought 2 new pairs of leggings and a couple tops, cheap for Lululemon outlet, not cheap for activewear. And it made me feel unreal. Like the dollar investment versus how I've since felt every time I put those freaking leggings on compared to my $8 Kmart version that I had before. Game changing how I feel about myself, even just walking the dog.
And you never want to go back to the Kmart. You never pull them out of the bottom of the bottom of the barrel.
They're at the bottom. But it was a big deal for me to break through and kind of see that I was worth investing in, and it was okay for me to spend that money on myself for something that I do wear regularly. Do you have any advice for this sort of like mindset shift?
Yeah, it's really interesting because often people do put a price on their items. However, as you've just said, the overall difference in you investing in something that has made you feel great and as you said, even just walking the dog has been a great investment. And for me, it's not about the money you spend. It's about purchasing items that you're going to get great wear out of and that you're also going to feel great in. And this is the thing. Often we find little things like pajamas, activewear are all of the things that go to the very end of the list that people don't wear. However, if you're in them every single day, then they are the exact items that you should be investing in. And it's not necessarily about the money, but it's about understanding, well, I've had such great wear out of all of the activewear that I've got. But right now, as you said, they're see-through, they've got holes in them, and I look like I shouldn't be wearing them out walking the dog. Then I would say that is time, right? That is time. And that's one of the things when we go through a client's wardrobe or in Confidence Through Style Academy, when we get to the wardrobe section, it's about looking at those items and saying, what is really, really well worn? What have you worn to death but needs to be replaced? And they are the items that we invest in or we replace first. For me, it's never about the actual dollar spend, though. As you said, you went to the warehouse sale, so you got really great quality items at a discounted price. Yes, more than what you would spend perhaps in a more budget line. But now you understand the benefit of spending that money and how great you'll feel. I'm actually doing a challenge at the minute to not buy any new clothes or shoes. It's going really well. I'm allowed to thrift, so I'm allowed to do secondhand. These are obviously my rules. But what it has really given me the ability to do is to understand that it's never about the dollar spend, but it's about finding pieces that suit my unique style and being a little bit more conscious about where I'm spending my money. I think now I will be more conscious about where I'm spending my money, what am I investing in, based on really understanding what my style categories are. The opposite of that too, Sammy, is that a lot of women will invest in pieces. They will spend money on clothing. They'll wear it once. They'll hang it in their wardrobe and they won't get rid of it for whatever reason. It may not work for them anymore. It may not fit. It may not go with anything else in their wardrobe, but they hold on to it because of the money investment.
That's me. So I literally did this over the weekend, that corporate office job that I was talking about where I made the transition into a workplace that was then jeans and T-shirt. This is like 5 years later now, and I've still got the Q and the Review and the Alana Hill skirts and dresses and stuff. I'm not wearing them, and I won't be going back to an office ever again. It's not my jam. But I've had a really hard time letting go of those things because of the investment of money. Because definitely those are, and a lot of those pieces are in great condition still. So I've kind of I've taken the first step. They've come out of the wardrobe now. They are transitioning. Now the next step, send them to Dress for Success so that somebody else can leverage them and enjoy them. And that they have lots of life left to give for the person who is in the environment that needs those things.
And I educate my clients or those that go through Confidence Through Style Academy into trying to see that as every time you go into your wardrobe, you're reminded of the money that you spent that you're not utilizing and wearing. And if that's no longer a part of your style now, if it's no longer a part of the life that you live now, why would you constantly want to remind yourself on a daily basis of the money that you spent that you're no longer wearing?
Or the pants that don't fit.
And I mean,
you don't want to be reminded of that.
That's right. And so I encourage those ladies, like, absolutely, there's beautiful labels sitting in their wardrobe. And I say, if it's monetary value, there is lots of wonderful secondhand reseller platforms that you can get some money back. But imagine walking into a wardrobe where there's none of those negative reminders. And equally, as you say about sizing, I say to women, the women that hold on to the clothes that maybe when they were a smaller size and they may be have the ambition to have a body transformation and get back to said size. But are you going to be the same person that you were when you wore those pants last? Because we're going through a transformation, then we're not going to be the same person. You're going to want to go out and buy new things to celebrate the transformation. And equally the opposite. I have clients that hold on to their words, not mine, their fat clothes or the clothes that are bigger sized because they've yo-yoed their whole life. Yeah. And I say to them, and not to get too woo-woo, but you're sending a message to the universe that the weight that you have released, you're happy for it to welcome back anytime because you're prepared with the clothes when it comes back.
And you're literally going to step back into that same period of life that you were in.
Absolutely.
1, 2, 3, 5 years ago.
And it's just a full back.
Burn the boat.
That's right.
Burn the boat.
No plan B.
No plan B.
And this is the thing, right? If your body does change, as all humans' bodies change over time, then celebrate that with, okay, let go of what is on the label and go and buy yourself something that you feel great in, not, as you said, Nate, going and stepping back into what life was back then. Yeah.
I want to circle back to the conversation about this specifically in our romantic relationships, and especially because quite a few of us have probably been getting quite comfortable at home the last 18, 24 months. And some of us have been probably spending extended periods of time with our partner where we don't transition from like work clothes during the day to like at home clothes in the evening or whatever. So how, Kell, if we've found either ourselves or our partners getting a little bit complacent, a little bit lazy, a little bit less groomed than normal standard, how do we kick this back into gear? How do we give a little gentle, loving, hey, you're really sexy when you've got a clean shirt on and you're not wearing track pants?
And look, this is really interesting because I literally just did a post on this exact topic because, as you said, everyone's been spending a lot more time at home. And so with that means that we can, if we wish, stay in our pajamas or change the top half for a Zoom call and not the bottom half.
A lot of elastic.
Could be Ugg boots, whatever it is for wherever you are. But the difference in your state of being, if you can get up, shower, dress fully, and I like with a pixie cut and do my hair, the change in state is incredible. And I think that, one, we need to be responsible ourselves for our own well-being and also our own state. But hopefully, if your relationship and the communication is good, that I would keep it lighthearted. Because let's be honest, if you're talking about someone's appearance, then that can be a very touchy subject, particularly based on people's pasts, in their history of the relationship they have with their body, all of the things. I would keep it light. I love you, this is great, but... And I mean, we're all doing the best that we can with what we have available in our houses right now. But I would really keep the conversation as light as possible and, you know, play around. I mean, here's a thought. Get Nate to choose your outfit for tomorrow. Little things like that. But for me, I know so much, particularly after last year and homeschooling children and all of the things. One, movement was a huge thing for me. So getting up, putting active wear on and getting my movement done. But the other thing was coming home and ensuring that I showered, I got out of my active wear and I put clothes on that put me in a state of, okay, I'm here, I'm present, I can get stuff done for business, but I can also do the homeschooling and help the kids and as well. And look, it's often the last thing that we feel like doing, particularly if there's any type of overwhelm or stress or just feeling really low energetically. Doing those things of showering and getting ready and when you know you're not going anywhere is often the last thing that you really want to do. But I guarantee you it is one of the best habits you can get into. for your own state of being, because it truly, truly can. Just those tiny things can lift the mood.
Yeah. I love that you said those tiny things, because one of the things that I noticed when Nath was doing sort of more hybrid, some days at work and some days at home, he's at home all the time now, but while you were still going in and out of the office, is that you were only putting on fragrance on the days that you went to the office.
Yeah.
And I'm hugely, that is like one of the sexiest things that Nath can do is put on like good fragrance, all about it. But yeah, so even just that little thing about going through that ritual and routine, even when he's not leaving the house, is huge level of attraction.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I mean, step up my game.
Yeah, get a haircut and start wearing more fragrance. That's what I'm doing.
It's easy.
Yeah, and I think it truly is the little things. And for some people, they will feel like the big things right now. But it's just, if you can do that, it's a bit like opening the blinds and letting in some fresh air or getting outdoors. It's doing those things. For some are really little things, but for others, they're really big things.
Yeah.
And I think just spending a bit of time each morning on yourself to really pick yourself up. And it's almost like a tick of achievement early in the day. Great, tick.
Pants on.
Yeah. People say make your bed. I do that as well. But it's like make your bed and get yourself ready. And it's like 2 ticks. And what a great way to start the day. Yeah.
Yeah. Love that.
Love all of that. Kell, this has been so great. If I can be a little bit cheeky and change direction just a smidge, we know that you have 2 daughters and also a loving husband. What we would love to know is, what do you do in your own relationship to keep it fueled up?
I think for us, we love adventure. So we love to be able to get outdoors. Hiking is great for us. And I guess, as we've been saying, the last 18 months, it's not been as easy to sneak away and have just a couple nights away. But one of the most special things my husband did for me, which would have been, I think, last year, I'm losing track of time, but he surprised me with 2 nights away at a really beautiful accommodation. And he got the girls involved with writing me a letter that said I had to pack. This is what I needed to pack. And I got blindfolded and I got driven. And so we dropped the girls off at school. They were being cared for by friends, which was beautiful. And so he took me away just to, I guess, spoil me for obviously doing all the homeschooling, because he at that time was going to the office. And so I think it's just doing little things and understanding what your partner's love language is, for me, is super important. And for those that may not be up to speed with that, then Google it, 5 love languages, because mine is acts of service, closely followed by gifts. But for me, it's not the random just buy me something. It's the well thought out, as in the surprise trip away. And his is physical touch. So yeah, I mean, it's understanding that there's the give and take in that, and we need to be speaking to our partner in their love language, not our own. And that's not always easy when they're very, very different. But yeah, just I think for us, it's like adventure, activity, getting out and doing things, and just, I suppose, just having as much fun as we can.
Yeah, love that.
Making time for the play and for it to be fun.
Yeah, and that's not always easy when you're working from home and running multiple businesses and those sorts of things. But there's also that boundaries of when does the work stop and when does the family time and the relationship time come in. So I think that's important, and that's not always easy to adhere to when you both work for yourselves and run your own businesses, and there's always a phone, there's always a computer. But I think that's important as well, to make the time. Yeah.
I love that. Kell, this has been so great. Thank you so much for sharing with us and giving us a little bit of a nudge to keep taking care of ourselves and making ourselves a priority, so that we can not just show up like for ourselves, but show up for our partners as well. So to say thank you, we've given a school uniform to a student in Cambodia The magic with this is that education is free in Cambodia, but you need to have a school uniform, which is not free. And often parents can find themselves in situations where there's other needs that trump that school uniform. So with that school uniform, it unlocks education. So thank you so much for making that possible.
Wow, that's incredible. I'm so glad. That's awesome. Well done.
Oh, thank you for joining us.
Yeah. So, Kell, if people want to connect with you or learn a little bit more about what you do, how should they do that?
Easy way, go over to Instagram. I'm at Kell Quarrell, so KELL, QUARRELL, or to my website, which is kellquarrell.com.au.
Yeah, amazing.
Perfect. Is there any final tip, any last little nugget you'd like to share with us?
I think for me, it's about actually spending the time to identify what is your own unique personal style. And if you've got no idea where to start, my suggestion is go to Pinterest, go to Google, and just start exploring looks and outfits and things that you love, and just experiment, play, and have fun, because when you can show up as your best, most authentic, stylish self, then the confidence will follow.
Hey, so Kelly, a couple of times you mentioned that you've got a course in there. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, Confidence Through Style Academy is the name of the course, and it's a 6-week online program where I teach women the styling principles, the mindset, and the daily actions in order for them to reclaim their confidence through their style, through their wardrobe, how they show up every single day. And it's a work at your own pace, video content, worksheets, all online across a 6-week period. And the doors are currently open. You can find the information at kellquarrell.com.au/academy.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Thanks, Kell.
Thanks so much.
Thanks heaps for joining us. If you love what we're doing here and want more, subscribe to the Date Forever podcast to make sure you never miss an ep. Come and hang out with us and other awesome couples who are fueling up their relationships in the Thriving Couples Collective Facebook group, or check us out at fuelcollective.com.au. Until next time, keep on dating, because better relationships equal a better world.